Hello and welcome to the Gospel Teachings of RAK. Today we are going to be reading about keeping the law and the commandments. This paper is going to be a good reminder that the New Testament talks a lot about keeping the law and how that is what God intends for us. So let's start with Matthew 5, verses 17 through 19. Do not think that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For amen I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall not pass of the law, till all be fulfilled. He therefore that shall break one of these least commandments, and shall so teach men, shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But he that shall do and teach, he shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 19, verses 16 through 19. And behold, one came and said to him, Good master, what good shall I do that I may have life everlasting? Who said to him, Why ask you me concerning good? One is good, God. But if you will enter into life, keep the commandments. He said to him, Which? And Jesus said, You shall do no murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. Honor your father and your mother. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22, verses 36 through 40. Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Jesus said to him, You shall love the Lord your God with your whole heart and with your whole soul and with your whole mind. This is the greatest and the first commandment. And the second is like to this. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. And on these two commandments depends the whole law and the prophets. James chapter 2, verses 8 through 11. If then you fulfill the royal law according to the scriptures, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. You do well. But if you have respect to persons, you commit sin, being reproved by the law as transgressors. And whosoever shall keep the whole law, but offend in one point, is become guilty of all. For he that said, You shall not commit adultery, said also, You shall not kill. Now, if you do not commit adultery, but shall kill, you are become a transgressor of the law. You break one, you break them all. 1 John chapter 3, verse 4. Whoever commits sin transgresses also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. Revelation chapter 12, verse 17. This is the revelation of John or Apocalypse. And the dragon was angry against the woman, and went to make war with the rest of her seed, who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. Again, Apocalypse or the revelation of John 14:12. Here is the patience of the saints who keep the commandments of God in the faith of Jesus. Now, we have to realize that this last book of the Bible, it portraying still the commandments of God and them being as important as they should be still, is important to remember, because this is the last book pertaining to the last generation to survive before Jesus' return. So if the last book is portraying his commandments still, that means we should still be in the law and living in the law. Jumping to Hebrews 13:8, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today, yes, and forever. That's Jesus Christ your Lord. That's God. That's who wrote the Ten Commandments. 1 Corinthians 7:19, circumcision does not matter. And uncircumcision does not matter. But keeping of the commandments of God is what matters. So it does not matter if you're circumcised or not. What matters is that you're keeping the commandments of God, his law. It's 1 Corinthians 7:19. Jumping to Romans 2:13, for it is not they who hear the law that are just in the sight of God, but it is they who follow the law that will be justified. 1 John 2, verse 3 and 4. And by this we know that we have known him, if we keep his commandments. He who says that he knows him and keeps not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. So, you do not know your Lord unless you keep his commandments. You need to know your Lord because he needs to know you know him. For you to be saved, for him to help you, you need to make yourself known, and that is by keeping his commandments. Acts 15, verses 19 through 21. For which cause judge that they who from among the Gentiles are converted to God, and are not to be disquieted, but that we write unto them, that they refrain themselves from the pollutions of idols, and from fornication, and from things strangled, and from blood. For Moses of old time hath in every city them that preach in the synagogues, where he is read every Sabbath. Acts 15, verse 28. For the Holy Spirit and we have decided to lay no further burden upon you, but this indispensable one, that you should abstain from things sacrificed to idols, and from blood, and from what is strangled, and from immorality. Keep yourselves from these things, and you will get on well. Hebrews 4:9. There remains therefore a Sabbath rest for the people of God. Hebrews 4:9. This is after Jesus passed. There remains therefore a Sabbath rest for the people of God. The people of God and the people of Christ. Sabbath, Saturday, the seventh day of the week. Jumping to Romans 7:7. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? By no means. Yet I did not know sin saves through the law. For I had not known lust unless the law had said, you shall not lust. So the laws have basically made it known to us what we're doing wrong, and that's how we are perfected. Romans 13:8 and 9. Owe no man anything, but to love one another, for he that loveth his neighbor has fulfilled the law. For you shall not commit adultery, you shall not kill, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, you shall not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is compromised in this word: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So that means all these commandments that are mostly in the Ten Commandments, otherwise in Moses' law, they were not done away with. They were summed up by two, and that is love your Lord and love your neighbor as yourself. So that means love God, love your neighbor, and love yourself. And every commandment is based off of that. 1 John 5:2 and 3. In this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments. For this is the charity of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not heavy or burdensome. 2 John chapter 1, verse 5 and 6. And now I beseech you, lady, not as writing a new commandment to you, but that which we have had from the beginning, that we love one another. And this is charity, that we walk according to his commandments. For this is the commandment, that, as you have heard from the beginning, you should walk in the same. So, the law and God's commandments are not done away with. They are still very much in effect. And not only in effect, but we will be judged by these laws and these commandments. The scrolls that God judges by, the books that he opens, that is the law, that is the Bible, that is what he is speaking about. We are going to be judged by the books and what is written by these prophets and the law and the gospel writers, the apostles, everyone. We're going to be judged by that book. Mostly those first 5 books: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. We need to remember God's law is important to him. He speaks through it from when it's given in Exodus all the way to the end in the Revelation of John. All the way through. There was nobody throughout the Bible that was allowed to transgress that law. Not Jesus himself even. So our job after he left is to keep fulfilling his law with him as that Holocaust, him as as our sacrifice to God. He took those sins from us. But we need to be faithful daily and show our true faith in our works, or else we will be judged according to this law and these commandments harshly. We need to remember that we need to be spiritual, not of the flesh, because the flesh cannot keep the law. We know this. We need to be spiritual, we need to be baptized, and we need to each be on our own journey towards perfection with the Spirit to guide us. I hope you all have a wonderful night and consider these things. Also, I want to make a quick note that I have a very lengthy paper and video coming up on judgment. I wanted to do it tonight. I didn't exactly find the time for it. But I will very much be releasing that shortly, as well as I need to release the lunar calendar that specifies trumpets being on September 14th, which is coming up quick. So that video will be released shortly as well. Look out for those things, and God bless you. Have a wonderful night.